होमज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्ण पादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। नमो महावदान्याय कृष्णा प्रेम प्रदायिने कृष्णाय कृष्णा चैतन्य नाम्ने गौरत्विषे नमः। पंचतत्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूपस्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकं। श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। जन्माद्यस्य यतोऽन्वयादितरतश्चार्थे सुभिज्ञस्वराट् तेने ब्रह्म हृदय आदिकवये मुह्यन्ति यत्सूरयः। तेजो वारिमृदां यथा विनिमयो यत्र त्रिसर्गो मृषा धाम्ना स्वेन सदा निरस्तकुहकं सत्यं परं धीमहि। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। स्वस्ति अस्तु विश्वस्य खलः प्रसीदतां ध्यायन्तु भूतानि शिवं मिथो धिया। मनश्च भद्रं भजतादधोक्षजे आवेश्यतां नो मतिरप्यहेतुकी।
Śrīmad-Bhāgavata Gita lecture. We welcome all of you to this lecture. We are studying chapter 2, verse 11. In the previous class, we studied that Arjun, he had told earlier that he was filled with dejection and he was bewildered in his dharma. He could not understand the right path. That is why he requested Bhagavan to give instruction so that he could achieve his ultimate benefit, Shreya. And he also said that he could not find any solution for his lamentation, as it was told in the previous chapter. His mind was filled with lamentation, and when a person is dejected, then he doesn't have the ability to take decision, and when he cannot take decision, then he can't work also properly. That is why
शोकग्रस्त होना
being dejected
हमारे जीवन में एक
is
बहुत
a
बड़ा
great
श्राप
curse in our life.
है और ये प्राय करके
And
सभी
this
को
mostly happens to everyone.
आता है कभी ना कभी हमारे जीवन
Sometime
में
or the other in our life,
जो अविद्या से परे हैं उनको
except
छोड़कर
those who are beyond
बाकी
avidya,
सभी को कभी ना कभी
dejection
कुछ
afflicts
शोक
everyone,
का सामना करना
sometime or
पड़ता
the other.
है तो यहाँ
So here
गीता
in
में
Gita,
भगवान
Bhagavan in
11वें
the
श्लोक
11th
से
from the 11th verse onwards,
उस शोक का क्या
he
इलाज
is
है क्या
explaining
औषधि
the
है
remedy for this disease
इसका
of
परिहार
dejection,
कैसे किया
how to
जाए
get rid of
इसके
it.
बारे में करीब 20
He will
श्लोक
speak
बोले
around 20 verses,
और ये बहुत ही
and
महत्वपूर्ण श्लोक
this verse is extremely important.
अर्जुन ने कहा
Arjun
था
had
कि
said
आप मुझे शिक्षा
that
दीजिए
you
लेकिन
please
साथ में
instruct
ये
me,
भी
but
कहा
he
कि
had
युद्ध
also
नहीं
said
करना
that I
भय
don't want to fight.
त्वतूष्णीं बभूव है तो इसको
So seeing
देखकर
this,
भगवान थोड़े
Bhagavan
मुस्कुराए
he smiled slightly
और उसके बाद में फिर
and
उन्होंने
then
बोलना
he
आरंभ
started
किया
speaking.
बोलने से मना भी
He
कर
could have
सकते थे
refused to speak also,
कि जब आपने निर्णय
that
ले
when you
लिया
have
है तो क्या
already
बोलूं
taken your
लेकिन
decision, what is the use of my
इसके ऊपर
speaking?
कृपा करके
But out of his
प्रारंभ करते
compassion,
हैं
he
श्लोक
begins
नंबर
this
11
verse
श्री
11.
भगवान उवाच अशोच्यानन्व शोचस्त्वं प्रज्ञावादांश्च भाषसे गतासु न गतासुंश्च नानुशोचन्ति पंडिताः श्री भगवान ने कहा तुम उनके लिए शोक कर रहे हो
So Shri Bhagavan said, you are grieving for those who are unworthy of grief and yet speaking as though learned.
जो वास्तव में पंडित हैं वे न
Those
तो
who
मृत्यु के
are
लिए
truly wise
और न ही
lament
जीवन
neither
के लिए
for the
शोक
dead
करते
nor for the living.
तो यहाँ महत्वपूर्ण शब्द है यहाँ पर
So here
श्री व्यास जी ने
the
ये भी लिखा
important
कि
word
श्री
is
कृष्ण उवाच
Shri Vyasadev has not written Shri Krishna Uvacha, he has written Shri Bhagavan Uvacha,
हमें पता हो
so that
कि ये केवल एक कोई व्यक्ति नहीं
we
बोल रहे हैं
should be remember
मित्र
that
नहीं
the
बोल रहे हैं
is person who is speaking, he is not just some ordinary person or his friend or his relative
बोल रहे हैं
of Arjun. This is
तो जैसे वेद
Bhagavan
वाणी
himself
जो है
speaking.
वो भगवान से
So
निश्चित
like
ही
we have
मानी जाती है
the words of
श्वास
Veda
रूप है
which have emanated
वैसे ही
from
गीता
Bhagavan
भगवान के मुख
with
पर
his
भी
breath.
संस्कृत हुई है
Similarly,
और
Gita
इसलिए
has
परम प्रमाणिक है
emanated from Bhagavan's own mouth, and that
इस
is
बात
why
को हमें
this is
ध्यान में
the
रखना चाहिए कि भगवान
topmost
कृपा
praman,
करके हमें ये
and we
उपदेश
should
दे रहे हैं
remember this, that out of compassion
और
Bhagavan
उनका
is
उपदेश जो है
instructing
वो
us, and
पहले
his
अक्षर से
instruction
आरंभ होता आ
begins with the first
तो
syllable
संस्कृत
a.
में आ ई और इंग्लिश में भी ए है
So in
तो आ से
Sanskrit
आरंभ
we have
होता
a,
है
a,
अक्षर
e,
से
e, and in English also we have a.
क्योंकि
So
आ अक्षर
Ashocyan
जो है वो
begins
मूल
with
माना
a,
जाता है ध्वनि का
because a is
भगवान
the
स्वयं भी कहते हैं
original
गीता में
akshara of
अक्षरम
sound.
अकारो
Bhagavan
अस्मि
also tells, he will
तो
tell up
अक्षरों
in the
में
upcoming verse
मैं
later in Gita,
अकार हूँ
that I am akar
तो उसी से
in
ही
the
आरंभ करते हैं
syllables.
जो ओम शब्द है जिसको वेदों का सार
So
कहा
he
जाता है
begins his instruction
वो
with
भी आ
a,
से ही
and
आरंभ
om
होता
is
है
considered the
और
essence of the Vedas,
दोनों
that
एक
also
ही
begins
शब्द
with
है
a. A and
तो
u
यहाँ एक
combined
बहुत
is o.
अच्छी बात वो
So
कहते हैं
here,
कि अशोच्यानन
this is
व
a very
शोचस्त्वम
important point
प्रज्ञावादांश्च
that he is
भाषते
making.
तो ये उनकी एक सूक्ष्म दृष्टि है क्योंकि प्राय करके
This is
लोग
a
जब बात
subtle
करते
vision
हैं
of Bhagavan,
तो उनको स्वयं
because
नहीं
generally
पता
when
होता है कि जो वो
people
कह रहे हैं
engage in any
वो जो उनका
conversation, they
आचरण
talk
है
something, they themselves
इसमें
don't know
विरोधाभास है
that what they are speaking and how they behave, there is a lot of difference in that.
एक संत या महात्मा या साधु सज्जन उसको कहा जाता है जिसकी वाणी में और आचरण में साम्यता हो
Sadhu or Sajjana, civilized person, is that who has congruity in what he thinks, what he speaks,
महात्मा
and
जो है
what
वो
how he behaves.
जिसके मन
That
में
is
जो है
Mahatma.
उसकी वाणी से भी वही
Mahatma is
बोलता है कर्म
that
से वही करता
who
है
thinks, speaks, and
तो
acts in
भगवान
the
कहते
same
हैं
line.
कि आप बात तो बहुत
So Bhagavan is telling
कर रहे हैं
that you are speaking very
कहा
wisely,
था लुप्त पिंडोदक क्रिया से
because Arjun had told earlier,
कुंती
Lupta
कौशल्या
Pindodaka Kriya.
की स्त्रियां प्रदूषित हो जाएंगी
that the women of the Kula will become polluted,
धर्म का विनाश हो जाएगा,
dharma will get
ये सब
destroyed.
बातें उन्होंने कही।
He had spoken all these
और इसके
things,
कहने के समय वो फिर शोकग्रस्त भी है, शोक
but at the same time he is also lamenting. His mind is filled with lamentation.
आश्चर्यजनक चीज है कि जो व्यक्ति इस
So this is very
पूर्ण
surprising that a person who is speaking such wise words, why is he lamenting?
क्योंकि शोक कहाँ पर होता है, कोई शोक
Because where is lamentation?
शोक हमारे मन में होता है, इसलिए कहा ना शोक
Lamentation is in our mind,
और वहीं पर हमारी ज्ञान रहता है,
and
पांडित्य
there only we have our knowledge also.
और शोक का आपस में एक अधिकरण, सामान्य अधिकरण संभव नहीं है।
So Panditya, wisdom and lamentation cannot exist simultaneously. One who is actually wise, he cannot be lamenting. Otherwise, what is the use of that wisdom?
तो जैसे अंधेरा और प्रकाश का सामान्य अधिकरण संभव नहीं है, ऐसे ही शोक
Just like we cannot have light and darkness at the same time, similarly we cannot have wisdom and lamentation at the same time.
होता है तो वो पंडित नहीं कहलाया जा सकता, क्योंकि पंडित उसको बोलते हैं पंडा सदसत विवेक बुद्धि जाता यस्मिन स पंडिता। पंडा कहते हैं बुद्धि को, बुद्धि का कार्य होता है विवेक करना, विवेक का अर्थ होता है गलत।
Panda means intelligence, and
आत्मा क्या है, शरीर
the purpose of that is to discriminate between body and spirit, what is permanent, what is not permanent.
बुद्धि है वो करती है, ये हमारी एक इंद्रिय है, अंतःकरण है, तो उसको पंडा बोलते हैं। और जिसमें ये पंडा है, यानी कि जिसमें इस
One who has this panda means this intelligence, he is called pandit.
जन्म से ब्राह्मण है उनको पंडित कहते हैं।
Nowadays pandit means one who is brahman by birth, but if he doesn't have this knowledge, then he cannot be considered as pandit. Earlier pandit was regarded as some intelligent wise person. Nowadays in North India, anybody who is born in brahman family is known as pandit, but that is not actually the reality. That's why Bhagavan is telling today that you are speaking like a pandit, but at the same time you are also lamenting. So in one way, Bhagavan is making fun of Arjuna. He is speaking sarcastically. These are his sarcastic statements. That what type of a pandit are you? Because he said that one who is a pandit, he doesn't lament like this. Asu means life, prana, and agatasun means
जिसमें जो गतासून मतलब जिसमें प्राण है और अगतासून जिसमें प्राण नहीं है, दोनों के लिए पंडित शोक नहीं करते।
So for Gatasun and Agatasun, for both panditas do not lament. There is no reason for lamenting. So our body, which is always dead,
तो उसके लिए क्या शोक करना, जो
so why should we lament for that?
आत्मा अगतासून आत्मा है,
And Atma, which is Agatasun,
नहीं है तो उसके लिए क्या शोक करना।
which never dies, so why should we lament for that? So what is the reason for lamenting?
फिर कह सकते हैं दोनों का संबंध,
Then we can say that both have some relation, but they never become related. Atma and body can never get related.
जैसे हम कोई बाहरी चीज को अपनी मानते हैं,
Just like it is simply something that we have just accepted, like some external object. If we say that it is ours, whether it is ours or not, it is external only. It's just something that we accept. We think like that.
तो एक मानना ही तो है, वो दूसरा व्यक्ति
When we give our object to somebody else, it is just a thinking. He thinks that now he is the proprietor of that object. But even physically, there is no actual relation between the object and the person. Like this body, the limbs of the body, we can see they are joined with the body. But these external objects, there is nothing like that with them. It is some just thinking in our mind. And that is at a vyavaharik, is a behavioral level. So these systems have been created. We act according to that.
और इसको सब हम समझ सकते हैं।
So we all can understand that.
भी आत्मा की
From Atma point of view, this body is also external like that only. Body and Atma are not having any physical connection, because one is a spiritual substance and other is material substance, and they never touch each other. That's why in Upanishad it is said, Asango Hyayam Purusha, that Purusha never connects, it never touches with the Atma. So just out of avidya, Purusha thinks he is the body. So those who are Jivan Mukta, why are they known as Jivan Mukta? Because they understand that I am not this body, I am different from the body. So this is what Bhagavan is trying to tell here, that those who are not worthy of lamentation, you are lamenting for them, or you lamented. This is in past tense, means you lamented, and you are talking wisely, you are speaking words of wisdom. So these two things don't connect together, your lamentation and your wise speech. So your speech is just a speech. What you are speaking are simply some empty words. Because many people give lectures, but if you see their life, then what they speak, it cannot be seen in their behavior, in their character, in their life. So that is called pragyavad. Like we have Advaitavad, Dvaitavad, Achintya Bheda Bhedavad. Similarly, this is pragyavad. That means simply to speak words of intelligence or words of wisdom. So the word baat in Hindi has come from the vad in Sanskrit. So this is simply a talk. It is not in application. So now Bhagavan is using the word bhasha se, because you are simply, Arjun is simply speaking. He is not doing, working, behaving accordingly. So dharma is not a subject of lecturing. Dharma is a subject of actually following. The root of dharma is acharan. It is to apply the dharma in one's life. If one is not applying in his or her life, you may keep on speaking, you may memorize entire Gita, but that is not so important. What is important is it actually seen in their life? Do they lament or no? If those who are speaking on Gita, if they have any lamentation in their life, then they have not followed the first instruction of Bhagavan itself. If one says that he is a knower of Gita, then he or she should not be lamenting, because Gita begins with this instruction that don't lament. And if that person is lamenting and still speaking on Gita, then he is a pragyavadi. He simply speaks. This is the first thing that we have to understand, that Bhagavan is speaking. So you may lament for Gatasun, means those who are devoid of life here, the dead. But why for Agatasun? Bhagavan is telling you don't lament for living as well as dead. Does anybody lament for living? So why is Bhagavan speaking like that? People lament for those who have died. So when people do not lament for those who are living, why is Bhagavan bringing that point here? If something is not possible itself, then it should not be spoken. So even a fool does not lament for a living person. So what is the great deal in that? So here Agatasun means, so you are lamenting as if those who will remain, they will be lamenting that those who will remain after these people are dead, how will they live? Because those who will remain living, we lament for them also, like the lamenting for the women who become widows in this war. Or here Gatasun, Agatasun also means body and Atma. So here Gatasun and Agatasun is Atma and Gatasun is the body, the Deha. those who are Pandit, they neither lament for the body nor for the Atma. Pandit means one who understands the reality. So, Pandit does not lament for body and does not lament for the Atma. Because this lamentation and bewilderment, they indicate lack of vivek, lack of discrimination. Pandit means one who has vivek, one who has discrimination. That is why Pandit does not lament. There is a wonderful verse in the Mahabharata related to this.
आविशंति न पंडितम, के हमारे जीवन में रोज अनेक कारण पैदा होते हैं.
So in our life daily there we have so many reasons for lamenting, because one who wants to lament can lament for anything. Especially nowadays, if you read the news, some people died somewhere, you start lamenting for them, and some people do that actually.
तो उन्होंने कहा शोक स्थान सहस्राणी और भय स्थान शतानी च, और भय के भी बहुत.
So in the Mahabharata verse is telling that there are many reasons for becoming afraid, becoming scared also. So these feelings of fear, feelings of lamentation, they enter the hearts of foolish people. Those who do not have discrimination.
उसी को मूढ़ मूर्ख बोलते हैं, तो उसी को शोक होता है.
So such people fall into lamentation. Pandit does not fall into lamentation.
तो उसीलिए भगवान यहाँ कहते हैं कि
That is why Bhagavan is telling here, Nanu Shochanti Pandita, that Pandit
उसके प्रति शोक नहीं करता,
does not lament for anything.
अर्जुन को इतना तो मालूम है.
So Arjun understands this much, that body and Atma are different,
स्वयं ये कहा था,
because he himself had told earlier that
लुप्त पिंडोदक क्रिया, कि जब ये पिंड क्रिया जो श्राद्ध करते हैं,
that this Pinda Kriya, those who do the Shraddh for their ancestors,
तो वो नहीं होगा तो उनकी
if that Shraddha is not done, then their Pindadan will end and they will fall down from Swarga. So this is only possible if body is different from Atma. Otherwise, if body is everything, then who will fall down from Swarga? There is nothing remaining to fall down. So it proves that Arjun knows, he understands the difference between body and Atma. He knew that. That is why Bhagavan is telling that if you already know this, then why are you lamenting? This is the purport of his instruction. Because when one is lamenting, especially in Bharat, if somebody dies in this country and his family starts lamenting, then the neighbors, they go and they speak all these instructions that why are you lamenting? Atma is eternal, body is temporary. So the neighbors, they instruct like this, because this instruction is the medicine for lamentation. But those who are instructing, they are also pragyavadi, only speaking only, because in their family if something happens, they also start lamenting, those who were instructing others earlier. So it is not just a matter of instruction, we have to apply this instruction in our life. Our behavior should reflect this instruction. Then you really derive the benefit of studying Gita. That's why we have entitled this series of Gita lectures as Bhagavad Gita and Our Life, because these instructions should be imbibed in our life, in our behavior, because there is no reason for lamenting. Bhagavan will be telling in an upcoming verse, he will deliberate a lot on this topic of lamentation. It is extremely important. Many people suffer from lamentation, from dejection. So these 20 verses that Bhagavan speaks, this is the Ramban. It is the ultimate solution to this disease of dejection. Because the root of this dejection is avidya, it is ignorance. There is no other reason for that. So there Bhagavan will be telling in that upcoming verse that that which is apariharya means we cannot get rid of that. We cannot do nirakaran, or we cannot get rid of that. It is not in our control. Then we should not be feeling dejected for that thing which is not in our control. Like this birth and death, it is not in our control. Where and when who will die, it is, we cannot understand that. Anybody can die at any time, at any place. So if we can understand this properly, then what is the point of lamenting for a dead person? But we forget this. And why do we forget this? That is because of moha, bewilderment, attachment, and then there is shoka, dejection. So this is the situation of Arjun, which is being shown in here. Arjun was telling this only, that how can I kill my relatives, especially Bhishma and Guru Drona. He told this earlier, that I do not want to kill them. So this whole point of dejection of Arjun arose because of the impending death of Bhishma and Drona. But everyone will anyway die. If you do not fight in the war, it is not that Bhishma and Drona will never die. They will die. So one can say, so then you can say that fine, they will die when they have to die, but why should I kill them? So we have to kill them because you are a Kshatriya and they are on the side of Adharma, and death cannot be stopped anyway. So why should you lament for that? Sun rises in the east, sets in the west. So if the sun starts setting and then you start lamenting, that's now sunset has happened. So what is the point of lamenting? That's the rule of nature. Nobody cries for that. So body and soul together, it is like that only. They come together for some time and then they get separated. And when they are together, then also actually there is no relation between body and Atma. Because Atma, it is not possible for the Atma to have any relation with anything material. Like the body is on the table, there is Sanyoga Sambandha between the book and the table, but Atma has no Sanyog or Samavaya Sambandha with the body. These are the two main Sambandhas, but Atma doesn't have any of this with the body. So one who understands that will not lament. And if somebody is lamenting, is doesn't know, because knowledge happens at two levels. This is very important to understand. One is that we have pratyaksha of knowledge, and one is we have pratyaksha of the vishaya. It is a very deep subject. It is little difficult to understand. When we hear through shabda, through word, like if somebody speaks that the capital of India is Delhi. So when you hear this statement, then you have pratyaksha of that statement, that the capital of India is Delhi. You are hearing from the ears. Ears are ear is a sense, and what we are hearing through the ear, we have pratyaksha of that. So pratyaksha is through eyes also, through nose also for the fragrance, and we have pratyaksha of taste through tongue. Although in Hindi, generally people think that pratyaksha means to see with eyes, but pratyaksha happens through five indriyas. All the external senses through which we get knowledge, they are all doing pratyaksha for us. So that knowledge is pratyaksha, but we do not get pratyaksha of that vishaya, that topic. So one is the pratyaksha of that knowledge, and one is pratyaksha of that vishaya. So when I state that the capital of India is Delhi, so the knowledge that I am getting through this statement, that knowledge is pratyaksha only, because I am hearing, because I understand the meaning of that statement. So I understand the meaning of that statement. That understanding is pratyaksha only. But the Vishaya of that statement, which is Delhi, I cannot have Pratyaksha of that just by hearing the statement, because I have to go to Delhi and have Pratyaksha of that place. So the Pratyaksha of that Vishaya is not happening simply by hearing. But but if I see that, then I will have Pratyaksha of the Vishaya, of that subject, that topic Delhi also. So what happens is that people have Pratyaksha of that knowledge, but they do not have Pratyaksha of the Vishaya. That's why it does not reflect in their character, in their behavior. So the pratyaksha that we need is of the Vishaya ultimately. So the knowledge that we get through Shabda, it is called as indirect knowledge, because that indirect knowledge, because it is connected with the Vishaya, and when we get the pratyaksha of the Vishaya, then we say it is realized knowledge, it is realization, experienced knowledge. So this knowledge, what we need is the experience of that knowledge, the realization of that knowledge. Because once we realize that knowledge, then we can bring it into our behavior, our character. Like if you tell somebody that if you put your finger in the fire, it will get burnt and you will feel pain. So when you hear that, you understand, but you don't have realization of that, you have not experienced it. You can put your finger in the fire, but once you do that and you experience the heat, the pain, then you will not repeat that activity. So anubhav, experience or realization is extremely important, and the real essence of spirituality is to realize the tattva that Vyasdev is telling in Bhagavatam, that relish this Bhagavatam, experience it, drink it, experience it. So this Anubhav is realized knowledge. It is not just knowledge in words. And once when we realize this, then only we can derive the real benefit and we can relish the rasa of the knowledge of Shastra. Then we will never lament in our life. Until and unless we have realized it, it is simply something that we have heard. But when that situation comes in our life, then our samskaras get activated and we behave according to what others were behaving who don't know Shastra. So Bhagavan is showing this difference.
कि जो पंडित लोग हैं, जो विद्वान लोग हैं, जो जानकार
So Bhagavan is telling that those who are wise, those who can discriminate, they do not lament for anything, because there is nothing in this world worth lamenting. Because we don't have any real relation with anything of this world. All the relations, they are simply imaginary, they are not permanent. Any relation in this world is not permanent. When we will understand this, then we will not lament. Now Bhagavan starts giving the knowledge from the 12th verse onwards. So the first knowledge that he gives is that we never die. Because Arjuna's dejection was related to death, that when these people will die, what will happen? Translation: there was never a time when I did not exist, nor you, nor any of these kings, nor in the future shall any of us cease to exist. So first point what we have to understand is that death never happens. We never die. That in reality there is nothing called death. This is the best good news, or you can say best news, breaking news. This is the first breaking news that Bhagavan is giving, that, oh my dear child, nobody ever dies. Nobody can ever say that I have experience of death. Anybody of you who is sitting here, nobody can say that I have ever experienced death. So when you have never experienced that, why are you worried for that? And not only you, nobody has ever experienced death. Neither you have experienced nor anyone else has ever experienced death. So now we may say that no, death keeps on happening. We see others dying. No, what you see as others dying, that is not actually death. what we call death, it is not actually death.
आत्मा की मृत्यु होती नहीं है,
Atma never
शरीर
dies
की मृत्यु किस
and body is always dead. So then who is dying?
मतलब होता है कि
So death
आत्मा
simply
शरीर को
means
छोड़ देती है,
that Atma
इस मतलब
exits from the
आत्मा
body.
मरती नहीं है।
That is what we call as death. And actually nobody
इसलिए जो
dies.
हमारे सगे संबंधी जितने भी
That's
हैं
why all our
आज
relatives
जिनको हम देख नहीं पा रहे हैं,
whom we
वो
cannot
हैं
see
नहीं।
today, they are not dead.
जैसे
They
कभी
are
कभी
also
वो
existing
विदेश चले जाते हैं,
somewhere else.
फिर उनसे मिलन नहीं होता
Like
है,
some people, they go to some foreign country, we can't see them. That does not mean that they are dead.
फिर वापस आते
Many
नहीं,
times people go to some foreign country and they never return.
आए भी तो 10-12 साल
And
के
even
लिए
if they come back, they may come once in 10 or 15 years. But it is, what is the point in that? It is as good as being dead only. Like sometimes some ancestor also comes in some form.
तो इसलिए सबसे पहले
So
भगवान यही कहते
first
हैं
of
कि
all,
सगे
Bhagavan is
संबंधी
telling
जो हैं
that
अमर हैं,
first of all you have to understand that
किसी की
you are eternal. Nobody ever dies.
तो इसमें अपना भी कहते हैं सबसे पहले
So in this, Bhagavan is telling about himself also,
जातु नाश, कि ऐसा समय कभी नहीं था जब मैं
that
नहीं था।
never there was there a time when I did
हम
not
दोनों रहते हैं
exist.
यहाँ पर,
So
ऐसा नहीं कहते कि
two
मैं सब
nas
कुछ
or
नहीं
two
था,
knots are used
ये
here.
कहते हैं ऐसा कभी नहीं था जब मैं नहीं था।
So he is speaking with two negatives, that there was never a time when I did not exist.
अप्रतियोगित्वम,
In Sanskrit, it is known as
किसी
Dhvangsa
के अभाव
Pratyogitvam.
का नकारना,
To negate the abhava of something is
दो
to prove the
मतलब
existence of that.
दो दो निगेशन, दो नकार जो है
Two
उसकी
negatives
सत्ता को बतलाते हैं।
prove
तो
the
ऐसे ही
existence of that.
प्रकार का ये शैली है, रीति है,
This is a way of
किसी को कहा जाए
speaking.
कि उसका अभाव
When
नहीं
I
है,
say
जैसे भगवान कहते
somebody
हैं
that there was
मैं
never an
पहले भी था,
abhava of that. If Bhagavan would have said
पहले
that I
भी
was there
था,
earlier
पहले से
also,
पहले भी थे और आगे भी रहेंगे,
you were also
सबसे
there,
पहले थे,
the kings were also
ऐसा
earlier there,
सिद्ध होता कि मैं हमेशा ही पहले पहले हमेशा ही था,
but that won't prove that I was always
और वो
there.
पिछले 200-250 साल थे, वो
You can say that
पिछले
you were
200
there in
साल
the
थे, तो उससे
previous
पहले नहीं थे, तो उसके बारे में
200,
नहीं हो
250
सकता
years or
सिद्ध
till
करना,
15, 20 births. So that is also as good as saying that I was there
ऐसा
earlier.
कभी नहीं था
But
कि
if
मैं
you
नहीं था,
say that there was never a
तो
time when
इससे
I
ये
was
होगा कि
not
वो
there,
हमेशा ही था।
then it proves that I was
और
always
हमने
there.
जब कहा कि मैं नहीं था, तो नहीं था
Because
मतलब
when you say that I was not
अब
there,
उसको
then you was never
नकारना
there. And then to negate that, that means I was always
इसलिए
there.
भगवान कहते हैं न तो एव अहम
That is why
जातु
two negatives are
नासम,
used here.
ऐसा कभी नहीं था कि मैं नहीं
That
था,
there was never a time when I did not
मैं ही
exist.
था।
That means I was always there.
और ये जनाधिपा, ये राजा लोग भी,
And these kings,
जनाधिपा माने राजा, राजा भी और या जन और अधिप अलग अलग कर सकते हैं, जनता को जन और अधिप माने राजा हो सकता
or Jana and Adhipa can be separated also. That Jana refers to the public and
है,
Adhipa
कोई
is
भी
the
ऐसा
king.
नहीं था कि जो पहले नहीं
So
था।
he is telling that all these kings who are standing here, there is nobody among them who was never existing earlier.
जितने भी जीव जंतु
And
हैं,
then this is a lakshanik, it is indicating not
ऐसा भी नहीं
by
है
these
कि
kings, it
एक
is
समय ही
all
था,
the living beings are indicated.
न
And
किसी
in
का भी
future also there will be never a time
होता है।
when they will not exist.
तो जो मूल शोक का कारण है,
So the root
उसके
of
बारे में भगवान
dejection,
बताते हैं।
Bhagavan is telling about
उससे
that.
ये सिद्ध होता है कि हम जो
So
हैं
it proves
अतीत हैं,
that we are
आत्मा
beyond
के ऊपर
time.
काल का कोई प्रभाव नहीं पड़ता।
Atma is never influenced by time.
जिस चीज पर काल का प्रभाव पड़ता है वो
Anything
आत्मा
which
नहीं
gets
है।
influenced by time, that cannot be Atma.
काल का प्रभाव केवल प्राकृतिक वस्तुओं पर
Time
पड़ता है।
influences only material objects.
तो जो चीज जिनको हम कहते हैं कि ये पैदा होती
So
है,
those things
बढ़ती
for
है,
which
वो
we
केवल
say that
भौतिक
it is
वस्तुएं हैं।
born, it changes, it is only for material objects.
और क्योंकि आत्मा भौतिक नहीं है, अभौतिक है,
Because Atma
इसलिए
is
इस पर
not
काल का
material,
कोई प्रभाव नहीं
it
पड़ता
is
और काल का
spiritual.
कोई प्रभाव
That is why it is
केवल
not
भौतिक है।
affected by time.
और
And
न
Atma
उसमें
is
सृष्टि
eternal.
प्रभाव था, न प्रध्वंसा भाव
Because
था,
it neither had
जैसा कि भगवान
Pragabhav
कहते
nor
हैं
it has
कि
Pradvangsabhav.
ऐसा है कि वो कभी
It
नष्ट
there
नहीं
was
होता।
never a time when it was
इसलिए
not
वो
there, and there will
अप्रतियोगी है,
never be a time when
और
it will not be there.
बीच में वो
That's
बदलता
why it
नहीं
is
है, उसके
eternal.
बारे में आगे
And in the middle
बहुत कुछ
stage
बताएंगे
also it does
भगवान।
not transform. That will be told
दूसरी बात
in the
यह है
upcoming verses.
कि कोई भी
Another
चीज
point
जो
is
है, चाहे वो
that
भौतिक हो
anything
या
that
अभौतिक है,
exists, whether it is
उसका
material
अस्तित्व
or
आप नाश
spiritual,
नहीं कर सकते।
its existence cannot be destroyed. Even in material objects, their name and their form changes, but their actual existence does not change. Like in modern science, it is said that energy cannot be created nor be destroyed. And everything is energy because matter is also an energy. So actually nothing can be born and nothing can be destroyed. As far as Atma is considered, we understand that Atma is a substance which is not born, which does not die. But actually, even for these material substances, they are not born or they do not die. Only their form changes, their name changes. So this whole world is simply of name and form. So when its form changes, you give it a new name, like unripe mango or ripe mango. It is just a change in the form. Seed seed becomes a tree, but it's just a change in the form. So all these changes which are happening, they are happening on the form of the material substance. Now you can, even if you burn something, it is not destroyed because the five tattvas which were in that, they separate from that, but they are not destroyed. Destruction is not possible. Only parinam or transformation happens. So this is called Shakti Parinamavad. Our Siddhanta is Shakti Parinamavad. This material world is Bhagavan's Shakti and it keeps transforming in form. Bhagavan doesn't transform in form. Jiva Atma does not transform in form. Only the Bahiranga Shakti transforms in form. But that also cannot be, nobody can give birth to that. It is Bhagavan's Shakti. So how can somebody destroy it? So in Sanskrit, the word Vinasha, it comes from Nash Dhatu. It means to hide, to become invisible. Nash simply means that now it is not visible. That is actually the Sanskrit meaning. So like when we say that something got burnt, destroyed, dead, it simply means that its form has changed. The way it was appearing earlier, now it does not appear in that way. So the first thing, this is what we have to understand, that our body keeps transforming. According to modern science, it's said that in 7 years, everything changes. So assume like if you have a car and you are driving it, you are using it, and it's you are changing that, you have now you change the tires because they got worn out, or maybe the door broke and you changed it. So one by one, let's say you replaced all the parts of that car. As if you do not want to get rid of that car, you change everything in that car, even you replace the engine, chassis, everything. You change the body also. But everything did not get replaced at the same time. It got replaced one by one at different time. So you now you say that it is the same car. But now the question is, if all the limbs have changed, how is it the same car which was there in the beginning? So it is simply in your mind that it is that same car, but actually nothing, no part of that car remains now. Everything has changed. Similarly, our body also, all the cells which are there in the body, within 7 years, en- entirely they get replaced. So now it is not the same body, but because it appears like that what it was earlier, but we do not cry for the body which was there 7 years earlier. Actually, that body has is dead only, which was there 7 years earlier, but nobody laments for that. Now somebody can say that in the body, that if we are not the body, then why do we experience pleasure and pain? Like if you are sitting in the car and somebody throws a stone on the car. So the car gets hurt, attacked by the stone, not you. So you are not getting that pain. So similarly, if I am not the body, if the body is experiencing some pain and pleasure, why do I feel pain or pleasure? Somebody can raise this question that again and again you are telling that this Atma, it is in the body. Then why do we feel pain and pleasure? So it proves that I am the body only. So the reason is attachment. If your car is a very costly one, nowadays we see very costly cars. I don't know what are their actual prices, but if you have a very costly car like some Tesla and all, I'm not much knowledgeable about that. If somebody throws a stone on that, then you will feel as if somebody has thrown a stone on your heart. Actually, the stone has been thrown on the car only, not on the person. But you feel like that because the more costly the car is, the more you will be attached to it. So I had experienced this once I was in Switzerland. So I had to go to the uh, station. So I was going in the car. So when we opened the door simply touched the other car because it was parked nearby. So the door simply touched the other car, and the other person became so angry as if I slapped him. So he came out of the car and started shouting at me that why did you touch my car? I told that no, nothing has happened. Nobody can even see and tell that the door of my car touched yours. So it proves that how much attachment he had in his car, so that nobody should even touch that. Like if you have your wife, your girlfriend, somebody touches her, how much angry you will become. Similarly, this is all by attachment. Similarly, we have attachment in our body. So sometimes we have experience, or you might have heard that some people, some bhuta or preta enters the body. So when this spirit enters the body, then whatever is happening to that body, the person is actually not experiencing that. Actually, the bhuta is experiencing that. That's why the bhuta says that I want this to eat, I want that, because at that time the bhuta has taken control of the body. For that period of time, the bhuta considers that body to be his own. Like if you are sitting in the car and you are driving, and if somebody comes and removes you and starts driving on his own, so similarly the bhuta sits in the body and takes control of the indriyas and fulfills his own desires through that body. So this is sin. So it proves that we are not the body, but we have attachment to the body, and because of that attachment we experience. And if you also analyze it from the philosophical point of view, there is a lot of deliberation on this subject of Atma in Vedanta, that what is Atma, is there an Atma or no. So, a very important argument which is given in favor of existence of Atma is that if there is no Atma in the body, then what will happen, that all these different people who are taking birth in this world, and we see so much variety in them, then you will not be able to explain the cause of that variety in different bodies. Somebody is blind from birth, somebody is handicapped from birth, somebody is very beautiful from birth, somebody is very healthy from birth, and somebody is very diseased from birth itself. So what is the cause of that? So if we say that there is Atma in the body and Atma takes another birth according to karma, then it can be explained. But without the existence of Atma, this variety cannot be explained. So in our darshan shastras, there are two doshas, akrita, which are explained, akrita bhyagam and akrita hani. That if there is no Atma, that the actions that you are performing through your body, who will enjoy or suffer for that? Because we do not enjoy or suffer for everything that we have done, then what will happen to those actions which we have not enjoyed or suffered now? Because otherwise people will lack enthusiasm, that if I will not enjoy the results of my karma in future, why should I perform them? And if somebody is born in rich or poor family, if somebody is born in rich family, then it means that he did not do anything, but he got born in rich family, so that is called akrita bhyagam. Without do anything, you get a birth in rich family. And other person is born in poor family, but he also did not do anything earlier. Then how do you explain why he has to suffer? So this kind of condition will arise. That is why in our darshan shastras, Atma is explained through Tarka. Because Shastra says that Atma is explained through Tarka also. That why should we accept Atma? Because if you do not accept Atma, then you cannot accept the law of karma, then you cannot accept dharma, and then there will be chaos. And then you also cannot prove that why this samsara is existing, who created, why it was created. Then there will be no purpose behind life. Then life will remain without purpose, and the whole world will fall into complete disorder. Nobody will agree to anybody, because now there is this culture of YOLO, you live only once. Then you cannot tell in that, you cannot explain to somebody that why he or she should follow ethics, follow morality. Because if this is my only life, then what have I got to do with ethics, morality, dharma? But one thing is there, that if this is my only life, then also I should not lament, because if somebody dies, then dies. What is the point of lamenting? For whom are you lamenting? Because you don't accept the existence of Atma only. The whole story is over. So whether you accept the existence of Atma or no, Bhagavan will also speak this in future, that even if you think that there is no Atma, then also there is no cause for dejection. Because you should lament only when an object, any substance gets completely destroyed. But when nothing gets destroyed, then why do you lament? This question was asked to Socrates when he drank the poison, when he was punished. So, drinking poison, he was happy. So he had a friend who asked that you are going to die. Why are you so happy? So Socrates said that if if my existence is different from the body, anyway I will not die. So why should I lament? And if I do not have any separate existence from the body, then also for whom should I lament? So this is called wisdom. This is called discrimination, vivek. He had this type of vivek, discrimination. What is the cause of lamenting? But generally, when somebody's death comes near and the person becomes afraid and starts becoming bewildered and becoming restless, so that is due to attachment and lack of discrimination. And there is no spiritual vision in that. So in these two verses, Bhagavan explained this only, is giving the medicine to cure dejection. So we'll stop here. If you have any question, you can ask.
नवदेव जी पूछते हैं, कक्षा के लिए धन्यवाद। उच्चतर
So question, Thank you for the insightful class. My question is as follows. Exalted devotees also lament Brijvasis when Krishna leaves for Mathura. Devotees writing poems, songs, lamenting on their situation due to not being with Krishna. In behavior, there is lamentation. Wars, earthquakes, tsunami, animals slaughter, devotees passing away. Is it really possible to have no lamentation or emotion in behavior?
बिल्कुल संभव है।
So, answer definitely it is
जैसे
possible to live
जैसे
without lamentation.
बच्चे मर गए, भाई बंधु बलराम तक
When all the people of
प्रभास क्षेत्र में
Prabhas Kshetra
भाई
they
संबंधी
passed away, did Bhagwan lament?
सब मर गए वहां पर एक
All of
साथ।
them died
जो अर्जुन बोल
together.
रहा है यहाँ पर
What Arjun is speaking
ये
here,
उनके साथ एक ही दिन में हो गया,
in one day only that happened
शायद
with
18
Bhagavan.
दिन में जाकर होगा।
In case of Arjun, it will happen over a period of 18 days, and still some people will live back.
उनके 5 पुत्र भी जीवित रहे, भगवान थे कृतवर्मा।
So Arjuna's 5 sons,
लेकिन भगवान के
Kritavarma,
साथ ऐसा
Satyaki,
हुआ कि
they
सारे
remained
मर गए
living after the war ended.
और उनकी
But
आंखों
in
के
case of
सामने
Bhagavan, everyone
तो उन्होंने क्या
died
किया
in front of his eyes. So did he lament?
किया था क्या? नहीं किया ना।
He did not lament.
उद्धव को गीता सुनाई,
Rather, he spoke Gita to Uddhava
उन्होंने अपने जीवन में
and he
दिखाया।
went away. So he showed this
दूसरी
in
बात
his
ये है कि
life.
ब्रजवासी लोग
Another point is
केवल
that
जप करके
the
डिप्रेशन में बैठ
lamentation
जाते हैं, भगवान में
that
उनकी आस्था नहीं
Brajavasis
रहती है,
do,
मुझे तो
do they
कृष्ण
sit back out of
भक्ति
depression?
ऐसा तो नहीं है कि
They have
भगवान के बिना
attachment
और
to
कोई नहीं है।
Bhagavan and
आदमी व्यक्ति यहाँ शोक में
they may lament out of
मग्न हो जाता
separation,
है,
but
कुछ
they do not
बीमारियां
stop all
इस
their
वजह से
activities
शोक
out of depression.
शोक
But
चलता
in
है।
material world, it happens
ऐसा
with
तो नहीं
people
है
like Arjun.
ब्रजवासी लोगों
He
में
is just sitting on the chariot. He is telling, "I will not work," means I will not
अलग
fight.
प्रकार का
But
शोक
we
है,
don't see such
कंपेयर नहीं
kind
कर
of
सकते भगवान
depression
को
in
हमारे साथ कुछ
Vrajavasis.
नहीं
That is a different
है,
type of
बंधन नहीं है।
lamentation. They Vrajavasis did not stop any of
लेकिन
their
अगर कोई
duty.
दूसरा भक्त शोक भी करता है लेकिन वो कभी
So even if a devotee
सेवा नहीं
laments for
करता,
another devotee, he never stops his
प्रीति
seva.
के कारण करता है इस प्रकार से।
That he lamentation is due to
भगवान वाले जो
preeti.
शोक है उनमें बहुत
So
अंतर है,
that lamentation and the ordinary lamentation
इसलिए
of
उनमें
a
भजन में
of
ध्यान
person in
लगाना
material world is
जरूरी है।
completely different. It may appear similar, but they are completely different. Next question: how does one really experience spiritual life? Most of the time we hear, appreciate, talk about it with others, but miserably fail when put into undesirable situation and act according to the modes and samskara. Then what is the hope of the Jiva in Kali Yuga?
सुनते जाइए,
So
जैसे
answer,
जैसे
keep
भगवत
hearing Bhagavad Gita. For that only we are trying to
अभी
explain Bhagavad Gita.
बस आरंभ किया भगवान ने उपदेश,
Today, तो Bhagavan has just
बताने
started
के
his
लिए
instruction. So he will
पहले ज्ञान प्राप्त
explain
कीजिए,
everything.
क्योंकि
So
आपको
first you
जानना
get
जरूरी नहीं
knowledge.
है
So
कि
people
ध्यान
do
से
not
समझ
get
आएगी,
knowledge. They don't understand
डूब
things
जाते हैं
properly
कुछ साधना में।
and they start
साधना
engaging
से
in
पहले
sadhana. So
समझिए,
before sadhana, first of all, you
आत्मज्ञान
should understand the
प्रश्न
subject
उत्तर
properly.
मंतव्य निधिध्यासित। पहले श्रवण कीजिए,
First, Shravan,
उसके बाद उस पर
you
मनन
hear,
कीजिए,
then mantavya, you
उसके
do
बाद
manan or deliberate on that and get
निधिध्यासन
rid of
कीजिए।
your doubts.
निधिध्यासन माने
And then there is sadhana nididhyasana.
ट्राई करके क्या होता है कि
What
सुनते
happens
सुनते
it?
नहीं है लोग,
People do not
बहुत
study, they do not hear.
ठीक
There
से
is and there
सुनते
is
नहीं
no
है,
question of deliberation. They just directly
आरंभ
jump
कीजिए
into
भगवत भजन।
sadhana. They are told that do this,
तो
do that,
पहले
and
बात
they
तो
start
ये है
doing
कि
that.
समझिए
So that actually
कि
comes
भक्ति
later.
कैसे
Sadhana
होती
comes
है।
later. First is hearing, understanding, deliberating. Next question. When I do more of worship, then I get more problems in life. But when I do not do worship of Bhagwan, then I experience lot of
भक्ति
happiness.
करती हो तो मस्त रहती हो तो मस्त रहो फिर आप।
So if you feel that you
आपको कोई
are
शौक आ
very
रहा है
happy without doing worship, when you don't worship Bhagavan,
मस्तता तो
then
शरीर से
continue
मिलती है
like that.
भगवान से,
You will understand the reality when
लेकिन
misery will come.
मस्ती खत्म होगी
So
तभी
Arjun was
भगवान
also
से मिल
behaving like
सकेंगे।
that. But when he faced the miserable situation,
तो ऐसा तो
then
नहीं
he
है कि
started
आप
telling Bhagavan that
पूजा
please
करते हैं
instruct
तो
me.
आपको कष्ट
So it
आता
is
है,
not that
कष्ट मतलब
you
आप कुछ
get
गलती करते हैं
misery
आपके
because
साथ,
of your worship or
ऐसा
practice
सब
of sadhana. but that may be if you are not doing that spiritual practice properly. Otherwise, Bhagavan would not have told like this, that being a Pandit, why are you lamenting then? So many people do that, but they do not do it properly. But main thing is, first you have to understand the knowledge behind your sadhana. Otherwise, Bhagavan also would have told Arjun that you just do some this sadhana, just chant this stotra, recite this bhajan or stotra, something related to Lord Shiva. So Bhagavan also could have told that you recite this stotra 108 times and all your problems will go away. Or just wear some stone on your finger. You may wear some blue sapphire stone. So it's not like that. It is something about knowledge. First, you have to understand the spiritual subject properly. So another question, that in verse 2.9, Parantapa is there in Gita Press, and in your Gita edition there is Visarga. So what is the cause of difference in your edition?
तो गीता प्रेस में अगर श्लोक वो नहीं है, इसको दो तरह से समाधान किया जा सकता है. अगर उस विसर्ग नहीं है,
so it can be explained in two ways. If there is no Visarga, then Parantapa will be Dhritarashtra. That Sanjay is telling Parantapa to Dhritarashtra, although it is actually for Arjun. So Visarga should be there. By mistake, it has been excluded.
Babaji, I don't understand why Krishna is said the word king, because I don't understand why Krishna is said the king, the name king, because the king is material position, it's not a soul. So why you don't say all these atma will not die, but the king will not die? It seems that the king will stay king, or this is a material position king, so the king will die.
Yeah, king will also not die, because king is not the body. Body cannot function without Atma. So because when he's saying this, Atma is not visible. उनका प्रश्न ये है, हिंदी में, you understand? He's showing, because he's showing these kings, they will also not die. It was never that they did not exist. So he is pointing to them. Otherwise, how can he point to Atma? Atma is not visible. So what is visible is referring to that.
He can say the Atma of this king.
No, he can say that, but that's what he means. It will become clear more later on. But if you start saying like this, then you'll say, what is Atma? So first he's saying that these people whom you see, they also don't die. Then he starts explaining. Then you will say there is a body, there is Atma. It's coming. तो उनका प्रश्न है कि भगवान ने
So his question is that Bhagavan, why did he use the word Janadhipa? He should have told that Atma does not die. So Arjuna also knows that Atma does not die.
Because he himself said, look, Pindodaka Kriya. But now he is referring that these bodies, they are not dying. Then the body is dead.
It seems when someone is dying, the lamentation is not so much for the person who died, but for ourselves, because there's something which is suddenly lacking, we're missing something in our lives which we had before. So what would you advise a person who is suffering?
So this is how Atma lives. तो उनका प्रश्न ये है कि
So the question is that if any of our relative dies, then the person who is lamenting is not lamenting for the one who is dead, he is lamenting for himself or herself, because one who is already dead, that relation with that person ended, and that emptiness, the abhav of that person is felt by the one who is lamenting. So if he has knowledge, then he should know, like Bhagavan is telling, that that person has not died and this relation can any day end. So if I know that it can happen any day, anytime, like I gave the example that the sun hides in the evening. So I know that it sets in the evening. So I know that will happen. I don't cry for that. So then the person should know that the other person can leave this body anytime. If I understand this properly, if I understand this properly, I won't lament because I know that it is anyway bound to happen anytime. In case of sun, we know that time properly, that when sun will set. But in case of a person, we do not know when that person will die. But when if we also know that it is anyway not determined when he will die, we do not know that, then there is no point in lamenting for that.
प्रणाम बाबा जी। अब मेरा उसका एक फॉलोअप प्रश्न है तो
So the follow-up question that I have is that this is a proper culture in India that if somebody dies, then we should organize Bhagavad Gita recitation for that person
मरने के बाद
after death.
लेकिन जैसे विदेश में या
But like we see in foreign countries,
जब भारतीय लोग वहाँ रहते हैं तो
now there are
अगर
Indians
किसी
also
का
living there.
रिश्तेदार समाप्त हो जाए और
So
वो
if somebody's relative has
दूसरे
died,
को एडवाइस
and
करे
if we
तो
advise
ये
them on the basis of Bhagavad Gita or organize
अच्छा
Gita part,
करके
even if
तो
that
जिस
person has
देश से आप
Shraddha,
वाले
they
पर्सन
say
को
that
तो
you
इन
you
परिस्थितियों
people
में
are so
क्या
hard-hearted,
करना
you
चाहिए
don't feel if somebody has died. So what should we do? So in that situation, we should not instruct those people, because those who are attached, you are trying to break that attachment by instructing from Bhagavad Gita, so they will not feel nice because of that. So according to their mental situation, you should talk accordingly. If instead of giving more instruction, you can just speak at a very basic level that this happens to everyone in this world, nobody can stop it. You can speak this much because this much is accepted by everyone, whether they accept Bhagavan or no. But if you start giving a lecture the way I give lecture today, then people will become angry at you, or they will misunderstand you. They will think that you don't understand our feeling. Because when we are speaking to somebody, we should, along with our wisdom, we should respect his feelings also. If somebody is coming to you to hear some words of wisdom, then it's a different point. But nobody comes to hear knowledge, and you have become a lecturer. So you should talk considering their feelings also. So next question, can you please explain briefly what is Samyoga Sambandha and what is Samavaya Sambandha? Like sweetness in sweet, that is Samavaya Sambandha, and book on the table, that is Samyoga Sambandha. Sanyoga Sambandha is it is temporary. Samavaya Sambandha is permanent. Next question. I have only one son, but I have explained him a lot, but he is not ready to get married. I feel very miserable. How do I explain to him that he should get married? So the question, are you happy after marriage? You got married, are you happy with that? If you are happy with marriage, then you explain to him that you will also become happy with marriage. But if you are not happy after marriage, like you are telling that he is not getting married, so you are miserable. So why do you want to throw your son also into misery? This is a great perplexing point in we see in this country, that people get married and they become miserable, but they want to plunge their children also in that. So you should actually explain to the children that, see how I am miserable after marriage, at least you don't get married. So the parents, they also fall into dejection. They want to plunge their children also into, throw their children also into dejection. So you want your children to be happy or miserable? If you want, if you are interested only in your happiness, you get him married. But if you want his happiness, then don't get him married. So if you are only interested in your happiness, then you tell him that, see, our dharma says Matri Devo Bhava. I am your mother. I am like a devata for you. You should listen to me. Those who don't uh, agree to parents, they will become, uh, they will incur a lot of karma. You see how we got married and we are so happy. So you also get married. If everyone does, nobody gets married, how will this world continue? Because it is very important to continue this world. We have taken charge of this world, and in Shastra it is said that if somebody goes leaves this world without giving birth to a son, then he has to go to hell. Putra is called Putra because there is a narak of a put, and this son saves his parents from going to that hell called put. So if you don't get married and you don't have a putra, then you go to hell. So then you can instruct your son like this, if you are only interested in your happiness. And if you are interested in their happiness, then leave it to them. They get married or no.
प्रश्न है राम राम जी का।
So
महाराज जी,
next
हमने अपने
question.
जीवन में देखा है
In
जो
my life, I
लोग
have
सेवा
seen
करते हैं
that those who
उनकी
serve
उनकी
their
सेवा करने
parents,
के लिए कोई नहीं
elders,
होता है,
uh,
जिन्होंने
for
बुजुर्गों की सेवा
their
नहीं की
old
है
in their old age, there is nobody
तो
to
आपकी
serve
वैसी
them,
सेवा
and
होती
those
है
who have
उसके
not
लिए
served
महाराज जी?
their parents in their old age, these people, they get lot of seva. So that's what I said, that you have to suffer the result of your karma. Those who are getting seva, they must have done some good karma in their previous life or this life. And those who are not getting the seva, they must have performed some bad karma in their previous lives. So what the problem is that we want to analyze everything based on this one life only. But Bhagavan explains that we have gone through so many lives. So we get reactions for our actions performed in those previous lives also.
संदीप जी प्रश्न पूछिए।
प्रणाम बाबा जी महाराज। मेरा जो प्रश्न है वो पूर्व पक्ष के रूप में है, मतलब अगर मैं कोई पॉइंट को मिस कर रहा हूं तो आप बताइएगा प्लीज। कि 2:11 पे भी एक है, 2:12 पे भी। 2:11 पे ऐसे कि अगर हम सिर्फ हिंदी ट्रांसलेशन को देखें और उसमें
So
ये
my question is out of a Purva Paksha from 2.11 and 12. If we see 2.11, then we should not lament for those who are living. So my question is, will I not become very hard-hearted that I am not bothered about anybody? So answer, you forget about hard-hearted. First tell me what is the benefit that you get by lamenting. So when you don't get any benefit, why are you lamenting? So then, so everybody is anyway lamenting and thinking that by lamenting I feel connected with others or others feel connected with me. Then why Bhagavan told Gita? Bhagavan is telling Gita to explain that what people don't understand. So Shastra says don't do hinsa, but people are doing hinsa. So people are anyway lamenting. Then why did Arjun ask this question? And why is Bhagavan instructing this?
हो रहा है ना वो दूसरे लोगों से और दूसरे लोग इसको मारेंगे
Because if he is lamenting, he may start feeling connected with others.
शोक का मेरे
So what is this hard-hearted? You tell me, what is the benefit of dejection?
फिर जब लाभ कुछ भी नहीं है तो क्यों
When there is no benefit of being dejected, lamenting, why do you lament?
उसका लाभ नहीं है चलो लाभ नहीं है तो भी
If there is no benefit, if
काम से करते हैं जिससे लाभ नहीं होता लेकिन
like we do some activity without any benefit also, but in case of lamentation, there is loss. Your enthusiasm, your discrimination, you will lose everything due to dejection. See Arjun, how he felt, became dejected and got into depression and just sat on his chariot. So because of this dejection, your japa, your dhyan, puja, everything will be lost. So
तो मेरे को बताइए
you will suffer a lot.
ठीक है आप कीजिए
You will lose everything.
मत बोलो फिर
So you can lament, you can feel dejected, but at least don't call yourself a pandit that I study Gita, I know Gita, I give lecture on Gita. You must have also given lot of lectures on Gita.
मतलब मैं कोई पॉइंट मिस कर गया हूँ तो मतलब आपसे जानना चाहता
तो मैंने भी तो बता रहा तो ये हार्ड हार्टेड की बात नहीं है जिन लोगों को नहीं सुनना है उनको मत
So it's
सुनाइए
not a question of hard-heartedness. Those who do not want to hear, don't tell them. But here Arjun wants to hear.
जो दूसरे लोग हैं जो उनको मैं थोड़ी कह रहा हूँ कि सबको जाके गीता को उपदेश
So I am not, when I am giving this class, I am not telling that you go everywhere and tell this to others.
दिखाना है थोड़ा
This is for you to apply in your own life. And if you have to, in some situations, you have to act as if you are lamenting in front of others, like some neighbor died or your relative died. You know that if I don't show lamentation in front of them, they may think that I am hard-hearted. So internally, you don't have any lamentation. Externally, you can just show like that.
कितनी बार के कोई
I have seen this many times. People, somebody dies and some women come from outside and they just keep gossiping. The moment they enter in this home where death has happened, they start crying. So this is a complete show.
उसी तरह से और कई जगह तो आप हायर कर सकते हैं किराए पर
And many times you can get higher, even higher people for crying.
शास्त्र में ये लिखा है कि
Although it is written in Shastra that when somebody dies, behind them,
आंसू पीने पड़ते हैं
if somebody is shedding tears, then the person who died, he has to drink those tears
कि कोई मर
of separation.
कोई रो नहीं रहा
But now it has become a culture, sort of a system, that if somebody has died, then others should cry.
अगर लोगों को ये अच्छा लगता है तो आप दिखा दीजिए इसमें क्या है
So if people feel nice by seeing you crying in somebody's death, then you can act like this. So I also tell to somebody that I feel very sorry to hear about this death. But internally, I don't have any sorry or anything. But externally, what is the problem in speaking like that?
कुछ मेरा घटता है क्या
Do you lose anything?
संस्कृत में कहावत है
In Sanskrit, it is said that why do you become a miser in speaking words? Speak it.
really feel sorry
You can say that I really feel sorry.
ठीक है वो आदमी को सुनना है तो अच्छा लगता है लोगों को सुनना
So people feel nice when they hear such words, but actually there is no sorry or anything. So what should I say? Should I say I don't feel sorry? Then the other person will become angry.
तो कह दो उसमें क्या है
So you can speak like that.
तो आप भी ऐसे ही कर दो क्या है
So you can also do this.
ये बात तो समझ में आ गई अभी 2:12 के ऊपर जैसे अगर हमारा कभी विनाश नहीं होता आत्मा के स्तर पे
So from verse number 12, it is said that Atma is never destroyed, but our experience is that when we are born in any species, we do not remember anything of past life. Even when we will become liberated, we will never remember anything of past life. So that's why Bhagavan is telling what you don't know, what you don't remember.
प्रश्न ये था कि अगर हर समय एक नई बिगनिंग है
So my question is that in every life, if there is a fresh beginning,
नई बिगनिंग है कि आपको याद नहीं है
So there is no new beginning. There is nothing called beginning. Atma has no beginning. It is anadi. I told that it is there is it Atma has no adi, no anta.
आगे बोलेंगे ना पुराणम, ये पुराण है, ओल्ड.
In upcoming verse, he will tell that it is Purana, it is old.
ठीक है,
थैंक यू.
चलो प्रार्थना के श्लोक. सर्वोपनिषदो गावो दुग्धा गोपाल नंदनः पार्थो वत्सः सुधीर भोक्ता दुग्धं गीतामृतं महत्. एकं शास्त्रं देवकी पुत्र गीतम् एको देवो देवकी पुत्र एव. एको मंत्रस्तस्य नामानि यानि कर्माप्येकं तस्य देवस्य सेवा. कार्पण्य दोषोपहत स्वभावः पृच्छामि त्वां धर्म सम्मूढ़चेताः. यच्छ्रेयः स्यान्निश्चितं ब्रूहि तन्मे शिष्यस्तेऽहं साधिमां त्वां प्रपन्नम्. यत्र योगेश्वरः कृष्णो यत्र पार्थो धनुर्धरः तत्र श्रीर्विजयो भूतिर् ध्रुवा नीतिर्मतिर्मम. कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नंदगोपकुमाराय गोविंदाय नमो नमः. नमः पंकजनाभाय नमः पंकजमालिने नमः पंकजनेत्राय नमस्ते पंकजंघ्रये. भवे भवे यथा भक्तिः पादयोस्तव जायते तथा कुरुष्व देवेश नाथस्त्वं नो यतः प्रभो. नाम संकीर्तनं यस्य सर्वपाप प्रणाशनं प्रणामो दुःख शमनस्तं नमामि हरिं परम्. हरि ओम तत्सत्.